we established complete air superiority as part of our air war within the first 24 hours.
Myths live here. It is here that legends reside, amid glorious traditions and memories of hope, amid adversity, of courage, sacrifice, and triumph. In June 1955, the Government of India issued orders for the setting up of an Air Force Museum. The mandate was to hold one serviceable type of each aircraft that has served in the IAF. A call went out for historic photographs, memorabilia, uniforms and personal weapons, war trophies, and experts and technicians to maintain them. They were brought to Palam in the country's capital. The idea was to create a space for Air Force exhibits of historical, educational and traditional values. But what the Defence Minister of India, Sardar Swaran Singh, and then Chief of Air Staff Arjun Singh inaugurated in April 1967 was greater than the sum of its parts. Thousands of visitors from all walks of life, old and young, all are brought here for a journey through time. On either side of the entrance, a Nat fighter jet and a SAM-2 missile welcomes the visitors. The first gallery of the museum hosts artifacts from the genesis of the IAF in 1932. On display are some of the oldest and rarest photos of the pioneers of the IAF. There are dedicated corners for the various wars and campaigns that IAF participated in, with photos of martyrs of the 1965 and 1971 wars. A dedicated POW corner shows photos and personal belongings of IAF pilots who were caught by Pakistan during the 1971 war. Gallery 1 also showcases the various uniforms worn by our air warriors over the years. It has a large display dedicated to the various arms and ammunitions which were used by the IAF. One of the most visited sites is Gallery 2. It has a designated corner as a shrine for the Marshal of the Indian Air Force, Arjun Singh DFC. His uniforms, mementos, photo albums and personal belongings evoke a sense of the man and the legend that was Arjun Singh. Gallery 2 also houses accurate and true-to-detail paintings of the diverse aircrafts flown by the IAF and the heroes who flew them. Portraits of ex-chiefs of air staff, mementos, different uniforms and accoutrements worn by pioneers of IAF illuminate a rich and glorious past. The depictions of operations by the IAF at Sierra Leone and other places are a reminder of the reach of our air warriors. Gallery 3 displays a dizzying range of operational air defense equipment, including lethal missiles and armament. The flag of the IAF and its 7 commands illustrate the way of the air warrior. Some very old and interesting photographs retell the journey of the IAF from the pre-independence era to the modern day. Also on display is a cockpit of the Nat fighter aircraft. Here, visitors can see the constricted space of a fighter class of aircraft. A cutout of a jet engine highlights the complexities of aviation. A corner is reserved for a peek into the future of warfare. Dedicated to the legendary Meher Baba, it showcases the different drone models which took part in the recently concluded Meher Baba Swarm Drone competition as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. The War Trophy corner shows the wreckage of various Pakistani equipment captured during the 1965 and 1971 Indo-Pak Wars. Harking back to the past, on display in the Dispersal Area 1 are some fine specimens of the B-24 Liberator, the heavy bomber of World War II, the Canberra bombers, Mi-4, and S-55 helicopters, and SAM-2 fire control radar. The museum's hangar is home to an astonishing number and types of aircraft in pristine condition. Vintage aircrafts such as the Westland Wapiti biplane from the First World War, the Westland Lysander, the Hawker Hurricane, the legendary Supermarine Spitfire, and Hawker Tempest from World War II. The de Havilland Vampire marks the rise of the fighter jet. One of the greatest attractions here is the Pakistani F-86 Sabre, which was surrendered by the Pakistani Air Force as a result of the magnificent victory of Indian Defence Forces during the 1971 Indo-Pak War. One can also see the Hawker Hunter aircraft painted in the colours of the erstwhile aerobatic team, the Thunderbolts. Also on display is a vintage Ford car used by the CAS of IAF between 1967 to 1992. Another interesting and unique display inside the hangar is the scaled model of the runway, painted inside the museum on the floor. Dispersal Area 2 showcases the dreaded supersonic Cold War-era reconnaissance aircraft MiG-25 Foxbat, the MiG-23, and the MiG-27 with its movable wings, Tupolev Tu-124, Dakota DC-3 transport aircraft, and the mighty AN-12 transport aircraft. But the showstopper is the MiG-21, which is parked at the end. This is the same aircraft which fired rockets at the governor's house in Dhaka during the 1971 war. This proved to be the final nail in the coffin, as immediately after this, the governor of East Pakistan resigned and General Niazi decided to surrender. This museum is not just a reminder of the past, it also shows the direction of India's future. Several ambitious projects are at present in the pipeline. The most hallowed part of the Air Force Museum is the War Memorial. This shrine commemorates the sacrifice of IAF martyrs who had laid down their lives in defense of the motherland. On the memorial, engraved in golden letters, are the names of IAF martyrs of World War II, the 1947 War, the Indo-Pak War of 1965, Indo-Pak War of 1971, Operation Meghdut, and the Kargil War. The War Memorial was dedicated to the IAF in October 1997 by the then Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal S.K. Sareen. And every year since then, on Air Force Day, the CAS visits the War Memorial to pay homage to our heroes. This is more than a place of historical relics. It is the hallowed resting place of memories of India's finest. The museum also houses a fully air-conditioned lounge serving delicious food and beverages. Next to it is an interesting souvenir shop, which is home to some of the amazing aviation merchandise to keep the memories of the Indian Air Force Museum always with you.